we were part of that pilot with Pick and Pay where they accepted Bitcoin, and it's still ongoing. You can actually now, any Pick and Pay, the garages, all their stores, you can use your Bitcoin. Yeah, so you absolutely have to pay your taxes on your crypto. I think there is a misconception that some people have that there is no tax obligation or liabilities associated with cryptocurrency in South Africa, and that isn't true. We're looking to essentially provide the infrastructure and support to businesses. Some of the businesses that have approached us are absolutely going the Mcro Strategy way. They want to buy lots of Bitcoin and they want to hold it for a long time.
This episode of ITWeb TV is brought to you in association with ITWeb Security Summit, the must-attend gathering of IT, security, and business decision makers. Visit itweb.co.za for more information. Welcome to another episode of ITWeb TV. Today we are joined by Tarris Arnold, who is Business Development Manager of cryptocurrency platform Luno. Luno was one of the first cryptocurrency platforms to launch in South Africa way back in 2013. So today we are going to be talking everything about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and so forth. Welcome to ITWeb TV, Tarris.
Thank you so much for having me, Maya.
Hello, my name is Daniel Cuthbert, and I shall be speaking at ITWeb Security Summit in Johannesburg from the 4th to the 6th of June. And I'm going to be exploring how generative AI is either a massive disruptor or it could be something that's really cool for you and your job. Look forward to seeing you then.
Awesome. Yes, just as I said, Luno is one of the oldest cryptocurrency exchanges here in South Africa, launching way back in 2013. I'm sure you have grown from becoming a startup, as we discussed earlier. How has the business evolved along the time from 2013 up to now?
Yeah, it's been a really exciting journey. I think in the cryptocurrency space, it's actually quite rare for a platform like ours or business like ours to even get to kind of this far in the space. We're really kind of view ourselves as a bit of veterans in the area. But it has been a journey. We've grown from 4 founders to over 700 employees. We even went through a name change. We used to be called Bitex before we became Luno. We went from only operating in South Africa and only selling Bitcoin to now operating in multiple countries across Africa, Europe, Asia, offering a multitude of very selected and tailored coins. So it's been a really exciting journey, and being able to be part of the industry's growth and having an opportunity to help provide input in how it grows in a responsible manner has been really exciting and rewarding.
So how many employees do we have here in South Africa? And I understand you also have got offices in London, if I'm not mistaken. Then you have got some presence in Malaysia, Nigeria. Which other countries are you operating in, and maybe the plans for future growth going forward?
Yeah, so in South Africa, we probably have close to 400 employees. We were founded in South Africa, so this has always kind of been home base for us. We have an office in Joburg, we have an office in Cape Town, but our headquarters is based in London, which has a small team operating out of there, but we also have a pretty substantial office in Malaysia as well, where we're the first regulated cryptocurrency, or the first crypto exchange to receive a license in the country. We have a team on the ground in Nigeria, and we also have an office out in Indonesia, but we do operate, and we have a team in France as well. Yes. Won't forget them. But we operate across the EU, Nigeria, South Africa, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Australia.
So across all these geographies that you are operating in, what should you say, are there some similarities between how South Africans are handling cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, or is the same across the board, like, for example, say in Nigeria or Malaysia or the UK? Are there similar trends, or what are the biggest differences there?
No, there's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences as is expected. A lot of the markets we operate in are kind of seen as developing or emerging markets, and a lot of the challenges that we face in South Africa are reflected in those markets as well. A lot of customers have concerns around inflation, want to protect their funds or their investments against the currency losing value, against dollar, those types of things. So we see a lot of those challenges where crypto is seen a lot more as a necessity in some of the markets we operate in, particularly somewhere in like Nigeria. Crypto is hugely popular in Nigeria. It's very well adopted and forms part of a lot of people's daily lives. And a lot of that has to do with concerns around the Naira and looking ways to protect themselves. And we see some of that similarly reflect in South Africa, where maybe not to the extent as Nigeria, but the people here also have concerns around how they can protect their investments for the long-term future. So that is one of the big similarities. I think another part of it is also when it comes to regulatory and governments, we find a lot of similarities, particularly with Malaysia, where they have very similar concerns and operate in a relatively similar manner to the South African government, which has allowed us to leverage a lot of the insights that we've gained in the different markets.
Awesome. Speaking of regulation, the South African government regulator recently issued over 50 licenses to several crypto players in South Africa. Did Luno get a license yet?
Well, as of recording, we haven't had it confirmed yet, but it is correct. The FSCA have started handing out licenses. The application window opened, I think, around June last year. We were one of the first people to drop our application in, and it's been a really insightful journey going on that space. We weren't an FSP before. We weren't able to apply to be an FSP, and now we're having that opportunity has been exciting. At the moment, some of the companies that have crypto added to their license are traditional FSPs or businesses that already have FSP licenses where it's being added in addition. So all of the other kind of core crypto companies that weren't FSPs before, we're still waiting to hear back on the status application, but we're all looking really positive and really hopeful.
So what does this mean to the crypto market, like getting this kind of license? Because I understand there wasn't kind of regulation within this space. Does it now mean that the crypto industry is now really regulated, if I can put it that way?
Yeah, so it's definitely more regulated, I would say. In 2022, cryptocurrency digital assets did become a financial product. We've had a responsibility to register with the Financial Intelligence Center, and Luno has done that for a number of years, and that's particularly monitoring the anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing, those types of things. This is really the largest step, I would say, into the regulatory space that we've had. What it means for your everyday South African that is investing in the space, one, we're really hopeful that it's going to make investing in crypto a lot safer. Unfortunately, because there was a slight gray area, there were people that were taking advantage of that, and by taking advantage of that, they took advantage of people that were new to the space and still trying to figure things out. So now that there are these licenses coming out, it lays a really high standard that all of the players now need to adhere to, and that increased barrier makes it a lot harder for kind of fly-by-night organizations to come into the space and take advantage of people. It gives people a lot more resources as well. We'll all have FSP numbers, and that will allow you to verify if someone does come to you and say, hey, I represent this person, I want to do this with you. You can use that to help verify if the company is allowed to operate in that space and if that person is actually associated with that company. And it provides the FSCA with more options to also enforce against bad actors.
Yeah.
And there've unfortunately been quite a few globally and locally that we've seen the need for greater enforcement.
Speaking of such unfortunate events whereby investors end up losing their investments, I can think of maybe globally there's
FTX.
FTX,
Yeah.
yes. Then I think Binance also had issues within the US, of which an ordinary person like me would be thinking this is a legitimate kind of business. So how do South Africans spot that there is a problem with this kind of a business, or those that offer rewards that look like too good to be true, if I can put it that way?
Yeah, no, I think that things being too good to be true, that adage stays strong no matter what type of technology or investment it is. Anyone who is promising returns that seem extremely unreasonable is just stay away. We often hear stories of people that will be approached by someone saying that they're a trader. If you provide them with 5,000 Rand, they'll turn it into 50,000 Rand in a month. That's just unrealistic, even in the cryptocurrency space with the volatility that we have. So being conscious, I think, first of that, just always just minding what people are selling to you, how they're positioning it, to spot some bad actors. A lot of times, these kind of big headline news cases when it comes to cryptocurrency businesses failing and losing people's money, it almost has nothing to do with the cryptocurrency or the technology, or it has an investment class, and has everything to do with how these businesses were operating and often how they were trying to avoid or circumvent regulations and laws. So going back to the license, this does become a way for investors to better identify the kind of legitimate players in the space that are adhering to the standards that have been set, that help make sure that investors are being looked after, that the people that are operating in these businesses have the correct background, have the correct understanding of the laws, also take care to ensure that their investors' money is safe. So I think that is also a really, really key part of that is having that, making sure that the organizations you deal with are compliant with regulators and are kind of being proactive in that space. The third part I would say is one of the great positives of digital assets and cryptocurrency is they do also provide you with an opportunity to self-custody your assets. So you don't necessarily have to trust Luno or any other organization to look after your funds. You can take control of those funds, protect them yourselves, take on that responsibility yourself. And some people may not be wanting to deal with that risk, but it's great that that option exists if you are nervous about something. So if you do see something happening in the news and you're worried about your funds being on a certain platform, you have that ability to withdraw those funds and hold them yourselves, which is a huge positive, something that you don't necessarily get in the traditional financial system.
Well, some things, Tarris, which also made me think about this unfortunate incident whereby I'm forgetting the name of the actual company, but the owner of that exchange was the only one who had like the key to or the password. Then they unfortunately died. How does such a situation happen? Like, it's only one person who knows like the password, and then they died, and everyone can't access their monies.
No, that's a story that's happened with companies and individuals who have forgotten their keys, which are essentially passwords, and then are now unable to access the funds. I think in a corporate or institutional sense, that only can occur if you have terrible corporate governance and terrible risk policies and procedures. There shouldn't ever be a situation where there is a singular or even a few individuals that without having access to them or their presence, you wouldn't be able to access those funds. And a big part of that is coming through now with regulation. So using Luno, for example, we have multiple procedures and policies in place to ensure that we always have access to that we can always provide access to our customers to their funds. We have independent third parties that help make sure that that is secure as well, so that it isn't entirely just Luno operating and having access to those funds. So that is really just a case of making sure that the company has the correct procedures, and that does come through with the new regulations of making sure that there isn't a single individual that maybe passes away or has amnesia or something and completely forgets the password, because that would be a huge failure on that side of the company. I think adding into that, we also operate something at Luno called proof of reserves, where essentially we're audited, and this isn't something that's required by law at the moment. We elect to do this ourselves because we think it's important to be transparent and provide that trust to our customers. But we essentially get audited every single month. We provide a report that's publicly available on an independent side that shows that we have all of our customer funds and then some. And even on top of that, you have the ability to check that what we say you have on your Luno app, you can put in certain codes unique to you, and that will then be verified that is the correct amount that is there.
Okay. Can I trade on Luno anonymously?
No. I think, and there's a lot of people in the cryptocurrency and digital asset space, that is what appeals to them, is that kind of level of anonymity. But that isn't what Luno doesn't cater for those types of people. So we KYC every single one of our customers, businesses or individuals. One, it is also required that we do that. It's really important for us to be able to identify bad actors or identify dodgy dealings that we need to inform the authorities of. But two, it is also something that allows us to keep our customers safe, so that we can use various tools to verify when we know something fishy is going on the account. We can help verify that the account is still in the possession of the person that it is meant to be with, or now we can identify, actually, no, that's clearly no longer with the person that registered with this account, and we can lock their account and protect it. So we do have a pretty extensive KYC process to onboard customers and businesses.
But isn't that the whole premise of Bitcoin? Like, if I don't want people to know what I'm buying, where I'm sending money to, aren't you like going against like the original, premise that technology was founded on?
So I think there's a lot of people that is what brought them there, and they will view us as kind of going against that. But we believe, and I believe, that the blockchain technology, Bitcoin, those things, it wasn't about bringing anonymity so you can hide away from everyone and no one knows anything about what you're doing. It was allowing us to kind of build to a trustless environment where you're no longer having to trust that someone is doing something or has this or that. There's an undisputable record of where the funds have been, who has what, and it helps build that confidence. The real value for me that I see in it is it's about having that independence and control. So you truly can take control of your own money, your own finances, and use the systems that you believe are best and are most accurate. But we also don't want to live in it. I don't think we will ever be able to live in a world where every single individual is hiding away and no one knows who has what, how much money, who has what, where it's gone, where it's come from. I think just the reality is that there are lots of very good reasons and sometimes bad reasons, but lots of very good reasons for the authorities, governments, organizations to know where money is flowing and who from and where to.
So do you foresee like crypto going like mainstream? I understand maybe Pick and Pay was trialing using Bitcoin maybe to purchase in the shop. Is Luno doing anything along those lines, or do you see this coming mainstream with time, like not going with cash or plastic money to a retailer and just purchasing your stuff and go?
Absolutely. I think it's definitely on the cards, and signs are very much pointing that way. We were part of that pilot with Pick and Pay where they accepted Bitcoin, and it's still ongoing. You can actually now, any Pick and Pay, the garages, all their stores, you can use your Bitcoin and your Luno app. You just scan a QR code through your Luno app, and you can use your Bitcoin or any of the other coins we offer, in fact, to make that purchase. There's still a lot of growing pains that have to go through there. There's still some aspects of using digital currency that make it difficult for it to, for now, be a day-to-day currency in replace of the rand, for example. But we're starting to see a lot of infrastructure building up towards that point. And there are markets, Nigeria, for example, where using things like stable coins, which are crypto versions of fiat currencies, the dollar, for example, that has become very, very much part of day-to-day activities. So the adoption on that side is there. There's definitely still some building and regulatory changes that need to happen to allow that to become a day-to-day aspect, but we're definitely really excited for the future of being able to use cryptocurrency and Luno to pay.
So when I go to Pick and Pay, will I be like tapping to pay?
So we don't have tap to pay yet, but essentially you just go into your app. There's a little pay option. You click it and a QR code will be displayed on the point of sale device. You'll scan it. On your app, it'll come and say, hey, you're making a purchase for this amount of money. What coin would you like to pay it in? You select, it'll say, I'm going to use this much Bitcoin or this much Ethereum or this much Ripple. You confirm, and then it's done.
So I see Bitcoin recently shot up in price. Like in South Africa, it actually breached the 1 million rand mark recently.
Yeah.
What is driving such growth? And also maybe we were just talking now about people using Bitcoin to buy in a shop. Others, I understand, they use it as kind of an investment asset. What are the main use cases you are seeing among South Africans of using this cryptocurrency?
So I think it has been a super exciting year for crypto. So there's two parts of this question. So before I get to the all-time high, what's been driving that price? On the use case, I think it's really important to note that there's so many different types of cryptocurrencies. I think there's about 13,000 at the moment. The vast majority of them are not worth probably looking at and being interested in. But a lot of them are designed for a specific use case. And those do have a super, super broad range. So we're seeing certain tokens that are being developed that are designed to help artists secure royalties more efficiently, more effectively, more transparently. We're seeing ones that are being used as a way to collect funds to purchase property or other large-scale investments. We're seeing people that have created one specifically for day-to-day purchases and payments, some that are being used specifically for cross-border remittances on an individual and business level. But there is still the vast majority, I think, of people that are involved in the crypto space have been using it as a speculative investment asset. So they are purchasing it either potentially to hold for the long term, and that's typically what we see with Luno users in South Africa. The vast majority of them are buying it and holding it for a long time, usually up to 10 months and longer. There are others that are leveraging off of the volatility that is inherent with cryptocurrency or certain cryptocurrencies, and are using that to generate income or profits from trading. So at the moment, there is a lot more people using it maybe as a speculative or long-term investment. But we're starting to see growing adoption of using Bitcoin and others for various different use cases. Stable coins being a really popular one that's grown significantly, particularly on the payment side, where people are using that as a way to make purchases, particularly businesses that are operate internationally, that are maybe paying contractors in Africa. A lot of times they prefer the contractors in Africa or other places prefer getting paid in USDT and other types of cryptocurrencies. So use cases are so varied. There's almost anything you can think of, from gaming to music to investment. When it comes to what's driving the price at the moment, ultimately it comes down to just people having a more positive view of believing that they should be selling higher, buying higher. The aspects that are driving that at the moment, there's a couple of big ones that we're seeing as probably the most likely reason behind that. The first was in January this year, the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, they'd listed Bitcoin ETFs, which are electronically traded funds which allow people to get exposure and track the price of crypto or Bitcoin without actually owning it. That led to a huge influx of institutional money. And because of the kind of iconic names involved in it, Fidelity, BlackRock, and also provided a lot of kind of institutional social proof of, okay, this is clearly something that should be taken seriously. It is a legitimate investment class. If these guys are doing it, then maybe we should too. So we've seen more than $500 million flowing into Bitcoin ETFs in the positive. Another aspect that we're looking at is the Bitcoin halving. Yeah. So for new listeners that may not be aware of what that is, in Bitcoin's kind of hard code, every 4 years, an event called the halving takes place. And how Bitcoin is essentially produced is through mining, which is essentially using computers to solve complicated maths. when miners do that and they solve and that helps secure the Bitcoin, they're awarded with Bitcoin. And that's how new Bitcoin kind of enters the system, because Bitcoin is capped at 20 million Bitcoins forever. The halving halves that amount of reward. So if one day, years ago, someone was getting 1 Bitcoin for solving a block and completing a mine, now they're getting half every 4 years. That is built in specifically to counter inflation. And because we're not necessarily seeing a drop in demand, but we are seeing a drop in supply, just that does help kind of push the price up. And typically in the past, we have seen the price also go quite dramatically up, which will be less and less as Bitcoin matures, but dramatically up after halving events. So that's a big aspect. And I think the third, which is more of a long-term, like you mentioned FTX and some of the other challenges we've had since 2022, 2023 were quite difficult times in the crypto space. The price was significantly suppressed. It was a crypto winter, as we refer to it. As we've been able to mature, bad actors drop out, there's a lot more confidence in the people left and crypto as an investment class or whatever use case that the particular person finds interest in it. And that has also kind of contributed with that stability. We've also seen more confidence in that reflecting in the price going up.
Great. Thanks, Tarris. What is crypto winter? Now we are going into winter in South Africa. Should we expect?
No, it can be these metaphors can definitely get a little bit confusing. And I know I shouldn't be using too much kind of crypto industry lingo. But essentially how crypto winter isn't really anything that people aren't aware of. Essentially, it's just a prolonged period where the cryptocurrency price is being suppressed, let's just use Bitcoin as an example, is suppressed. So the 2023, in 2022, we saw a very sharp drop in the price as bad news came in, and that lower price kind of held well below the last all-time high, for a while, up until February around this year. A lot of that is also just part of the fact that markets are cyclical. Things cannot go up forever. Bitcoin isn't just going to continue now until it hits $1 million or something like that. There is a cyclical nature in things. As people come in, people lose confidence. People now start feeling that it's too high valued. They want to pull out. And those aspects lead to a crypto winter. So we believe now that we're starting to come out of that crypto winter, hitting the all-time high. There's a lot of confidence that we're still on track to have a really positive period coming up here. How long it will be, we can't be sure. But yeah, so even though we're moving into winter in South Africa, hopefully we'll move into crypto summer.
Awesome. And I also remember when the hype of cryptocurrencies started, mining was a big thing, like people buying miners maybe from China and plugging them into their homes to make extra cash and so forth. Is it still a thing that is happening? Are people still mining in South Africa?
I'd say less so in South Africa, because one of the vital parts of mining is electricity. Yeah. Your computer or your mining rig does need to be going 24/7, and it's very difficult to have that type of access in South Africa. Another part of it is also you have to balance out the rewards you are getting in the Bitcoin versus what the costs are operationally. So previously, lots of people know of graphics cards, prices shot up exponentially, and a lot of that was driven by mining. Lots of that has started to kind of fall away. The two major aspects of that is the fact that halvings are coming, so rewards are less. So economically, as an individual, it's a lot harder to make the math work where it does become positive, unless you can find a place where you can have power 24/7 and keep really cold without electricity. So we are seeing a lot more, I would say, institutional businesses moving into the mining space. Luno's sister company is one of the largest miners in the world. So it isn't as common in South Africa anymore. And then another part of that is there has been a shift to move away from mining. some aspects related to concerns about the environmental impact, other aspects related to concerns around the security, if it is actually the most secure system. So Ethereum last year, which is probably is the second biggest cryptocurrency, they moved to something called proof of stake, where essentially you're staking your funds rather than actually mining and using computational power to get rewarded. You are kind of investing or reserving some of your funds to help ensure that the blockchain is more secure, and then being rewarded for that. Something which if you want to, you can on Luno. It's really easy. You can stake your funds and receive rewards.
Is it?
Yeah.
And what is staking?
No, it's really new. So in simple terms, it's the whole point of mining and proof of stake, these types of things, is really about, it's not necessarily about generating more of the cryptocurrency, being the producer. That is a big part of it. But the real value comes from how it secures the blockchain. And that's why a lot of people, why they love crypto and blockchain, is because of the security aspect of it. So proof of work was mining, and that was using computational power. Very, very hard for lots of people to get into. Years ago, it was very easy. You could do it with your laptop and still make a little bit of money. Now you need lots of capital to get into it. Proof of stake is seen as a bit more of an accessible way for people to contribute to the security of the blockchain. And essentially what you're doing is you're reserving funds with the blockchain, saying that, kind of almost saying, I believe, and I'm giving my share, and it is held securely. It's always yours. It's never lended to a third party. And for reserving those funds, you are essentially given a reward. I don't know I want to be careful about how I describe it, just in case I misdescribe it. I don't want anyone to misunderstand. But essentially, once you've reserved those funds, they are held for a period of time to kind of almost show the commitment, and then you're receiving a reward, which will be more of the currency that you've staked.
So maybe some of our viewers might want to know, like, if you are a new person trying to dip your toes into the world of crypto, like myself, for example, what should I do? Like, how do I get myself into, let's say I have never heard what Bitcoin is, and I want also to, get involved in this digital currency thing. Yeah. What are the first things that I should consider?
So I'll be biased here. First thing, go on the Luno website, type in Luno Discover. We have an amazing team that generates a lot of really, really basic entry-level content that explains everything. Like, you'll go read the one about proof of stake, will be better, describe it far better than I did. But it will provide all of the kind of basic intros, help you understand by aligning it to something that you might be more familiar, like a traditional stock market or something like that. Before you even spend any money or invest any money, definitely do that. Just do a little bit of reading and feel more comfortable. Then go download the Luno app. You only have to, minimum investment minimum purchase you can make is 10 Rand.
Is it?
So do that. Put in 10 Rand that if you're not going to matter if you lose it, just invest that and watch it, see how it happens, start to understand what the other coins are, why they exist, what is the methodology behind it. So at Luno, we spend a lot of time selecting the coins that we do offer to our customers. We look at the teams behind it, the economics, the engineering, the white papers, the use case, liquidity, all of these things. So it's a really beginner-friendly place. You can also purchase something called a bundle, which gives you exposure to, it's kind of like an index fund, gives you exposure to lots of different cryptocurrencies at once, and you can monitor. I think once you've done that, then you have the time to start absorbing where you feel like your risk tolerance is, where you feel like your interests lie in the types of coins that you're investing in, and then you can really build from there. So I think the most important part about it is always do your own research. There are so many good resources, but also bad ones. So that's why I definitely recommend starting with a place like Luno, where you can get all of the basics and even more advanced stuff, but really build the basics, and then you can build from there.
Talking about these other altcoins, I remember there was one that made like a lot of noise after I think Elon Musk endorsed it. What was it called?
Dogecoin.
Yes. How do you watch out for such things like Elon Musk obviously is the world's richest man, then he endorses it, then the price goes up, then the next thing maybe it goes down. How do you like protect yourself from? How is Dogecoin doing actually? Like now?
I don't keep an eye on Dogecoin. I personally don't take it very seriously. I will say this though, there are lots of people that love Dogecoin because of that. There are people that approach coins not because of the fundamentals or the mission behind them, but 100% because they are confident that there's volatility that they can take advantage of and make money. The reality is most of the time you will get burnt by doing things like that and not having any fundamental investment principles going into it. If you're buying Dogecoin because you're hoping Elon Musk is going to mention it again and the price will go up, then that's just is an extremely risky investment strategy. So how you avoid those, I think it's a lot easier to stick closer to the larger or mainstream coins, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, stable coins. I think if you're really new to the space, those are always going to be your best places to start because one, they've been around the longest, so there's a lot of resources and systems built around them that allow people to understand the investment class a little bit better. To using trusted platforms and trusted resources. So like I was mentioning earlier, we spend so much time selecting the coins that we offer.
Okay.
That's very, very rigorous. So you'll go on other platforms locally and abroad, they have a much, much wider variety of coins. And that definitely works for a certain type of person, but we also believe we have a responsibility on what we are making available to our customers. So we try and avoid those types of kind of altcoins that are maybe not built with any legitimate or long-term investment or use case in mind and are kind of built as a bit of a meme, so that we can really try and focus on the more serious long-term projects.
But are there still new coins coming to the market?
Yes, every day.
Is it?
One of the parts that makes cryptocurrency really exciting and an attractive space is that they aren't really gatekeepers to you starting your own project and your own coin.
Okay.
You can build it yourself and you can find plenty of places to list it. And that's really great for certain people that have a particular mission and trying to avoid some of the barriers that have prevented people, particularly in Africa. We've seen this a lot where African developers are creating projects that allow their communities or allow them to support projects or use cases that have been kind of left to the side. So we do see lots of new cryptocurrencies coming into the market every single day. The vast majority of them are not very serious and don't have to worry about. But yeah, there's always new ones coming on. Now with AI being the hot topic, we're seeing a lot of coins that are built in that space that are going to be using the coins to support AI projects or using AI to help utilize the coin in a more effective way. So as things progress, we're always seeing a lot more. And we're seeing with stable coins, a lot of that also growing. So central banks around the world are starting to explore creating digital versions of their fiat currency. At the moment, most stable coins are developed by kind of independent third parties, not by the governments themselves. So we're seeing governments now getting into the space where they're creating their own cryptocurrencies for use in their countries and other aspects. And even locally here, I think there's about 5 ZAR Rand stable coins at the moment. And yeah, there's a lot of value in what those can provide outside of kind of traditional Rand and fiat channels.
And how are these stable currencies different from, is it central bank digital currencies?
Yeah.
Yes. What is a CBDC? Like, how does it differ from a stable coin?
Yeah. The main difference is that one is developed, controlled by a central bank, whereas others are typically developed by a third party that has no association with the government. So right now, the two biggest, most well-known stablecoins are USDT and USDC. USDT is created by a group called Tether. USDC is created by a group called Circle. And they take different approaches to how they've developed their currency. USDC and Circle, for example, for essentially every USDC that exists in the world, there's a dollar being held in reserve there. So it provides the ability to access a dollar without necessarily having to go through all of the traditional channels and all of the inefficiencies. If you wanted to send $10 to someone in America right now, the amount of hurdles you have to get through, the amount of costs, it's very expensive, very ineffective and inefficient. You could buy USDC, $10 of that, send to someone instantly for next to nothing. So the main difference there is that these are independent parties that are creating these, and because of that, they do have some kind of a lot more independence from a government's control, whereas a central bank digital currency is very much going to be controlled and regulated and owned by government, which for some people is less appealing.
So as Luno, would you support maybe the South African Reserve Bank introducing like a central bank digital currency?
We would love to be a part of their exploration into that. We aren't in the position to be dictating policy on that type of level. We don't have that expertise and that experience. Where we do have expertise and experience, we'd be more than happy to support the government in that exploration. I think we're really positive and happy about the regulation, but it's also got to be balanced with allowing innovation to take place. And at the moment, the government has been quite good at having that balance, and they're protecting customers but allowing innovation to take place. So if the Reserve Bank were interested in doing that, I'm sure we would be more than happy to work with them to provide the support that we could. But I'll leave the decision to them.
Yes, and also maybe like as an industry, I understand like there are now lots of crypto players. I can think of Luno, then there's VAR, there's Altcoin Trader.
Yes,
quite a number of them. What are you doing as an industry? Are you united maybe to lobby if you want some regulations? Last time I understand like South African banks had closed like crypto accounts,
yes,
and things like that. Are you guys working together, and what's the latest with these banks that didn't want to really work with crypto platforms like yourself?
Yeah, so I'll touching on the banks piece. A couple of years ago, quite a few South African banks did take the policy that they won't bank cryptocurrency companies, essentially. Not all of them did, but pretty much all of them did. That did mean that all of the South African cryptocurrencies companies essentially moved to one bank. I believe at the end of 2022, the Prudential Authority did send out a notice to South African banks saying that they do need to revisit this policy, that essentially saying that they can't not bank cryptocurrency companies just because they don't want to. That cryptocurrency companies have essentially should have the same ability to apply for a bank account. They can be held to maybe a higher risk standard, but they should be given the opportunity to kind of know this is where we need you to be from a procedure and risk place, and see if the companies can reach there. So we've operated in an extremely compliant and self-regulated way for a very long time. We have a huge team that works on transaction monitoring, risk, compliance, legal. Probably one of the biggest in the world, I would say, considering how most cryptocurrency companies maybe don't put as much effort into that. We take it very, very seriously. So we're really confident that if we could manage and meet any bank's recommendations when it comes to that side. So we're starting to see shifts there where banks are becoming more, opening up to the idea of banking cryptocurrency companies. And also almost all the banks already have their own crypto teams and blockchain teams that are working on projects in this space to varying degrees. So that's where we're hoping to get to in the future, is where we can kind of operate along with the more traditional players and have the same level of access that they do. So as an industry, there are crypto associations locally that do collaborate. We as Luno do work very closely with regulators and authorities. We do kind of go on the journey with them, providing the insights we have from our level of expertise and helping to combine that with their expertise and their mandate so that we can kind of get to the right outcome. So there isn't I would say, a completely unified lobbying effort to change certain policies. The reality is that a lot of cryptocurrency businesses, like most industries, we have varying viewpoints on how certain things should happen, or what types of policies need to change, why they should change. So we do try and find that balance. So at the moment, we, as Luno, work really hard to collaborate directly with regulators and authorities to provide our expertise and our insights to help them make the most informed decisions.
Awesome. Thanks, Tarris. And maybe lastly, what's next for Luno in the Luno journey? Next year, you'll be turning how old?
Next year, 12. So this year's 11.
Yeah. So what's next for Luno, both in the South African market as well as globally? What plans do you have for your business?
Yeah, so it's a really, really exciting time to be in the cryptocurrency space, particularly after how difficult the last 2 years were. We have so many big plans. We have a lot of plans to increase some of the offerings we have on Luno from a product and coin side. We're still really passionate on supporting everyday South Africans and people around the world starting their crypto journey and providing a really safe and trustworthy space for that to happen. But we're also really excited to start being more supportive of businesses. So for a long time, businesses in South Africa and globally haven't really been able to move into the crypto space, whether it be from a risk perspective or even a regulatory perspective. And we're starting to see that change. As that license comes through, we become an FSP, just like many others. And that opens a lot of doors. And we're really excited for our ability to now support lots of institutional customers and business customers that want to move into the space. Some want to come in and are looking at it from an investor aspect. Others have other plans to maybe use it as for treasury management and other aspects. So we're really excited to start building out, and we're already building out and launching a lot of products to support that particular group. So I'd say that's probably going to be the biggest shift for Luno in the future, is a lot more businesses, I think, getting into the space. And we're definitely excited to move into new markets, but we find it really important to make sure that we get it right in the markets we already operate in.
Sorry to interject. If you say more businesses, are you looking at maybe something like what Mcro Strategy is doing, like globally?
So we're looking to essentially provide the infrastructure and support to businesses. Some of the businesses that have approached us are absolutely going the Mcro Strategy way. They want to buy lots of Bitcoin and they want to hold it for a long time. We're starting to see asset managers that want to start offering their customers access to cryptocurrencies in a really safe and familiar way. So that's another really exciting piece of having traditional finance players move into the space to have those offerings. So we're really looking to work with all of those people to support them. Financial advisors are now also going to be able to actually advise their customers on investing in crypto, something they weren't able to do before. And that opens up another kind of new network where you can start relying on more expert financial advisors who have experience in the crypto space to help you guide and not necessarily be completely self-reliant. So that is where we're starting to see a lot of interest come in, and we're building for those people. And we definitely feel like this year is going to be a really exciting time as those guys come in. We're talking about the licenses or issues. The vast majority of the applicants and the licenses that have been issued are going to people that already had FSPs.
Okay.
And the vast majority of those, crypto is not a core part of the business, but it's something that they do believe that there's a lot of excitement and a lot of opportunity, whether it is as a long-term asset, speculative, whatever it may be. So we're super excited to be able to support those businesses going forward.
Okay, thanks, Tarris. Just also looking at the tax landscape, the South African Revenue Service previously said they were looking to tax crypto assets. How has it been going on that front? Have they already started taxing people who are using crypto?
Yeah, so you absolutely have to pay your taxes on your crypto. I think there is a misconception that some people have that there is no tax obligation or liabilities associated with cryptocurrency in South Africa, and that isn't true. Essentially, there's two differences. You could pay tax either on as pay tax on your crypto, either in the form of income tax or in capital gains. So how SARS determines you get that, it's very unique to every person, but at a very high level, and this isn't tax advice, but at a very high level, the income side is if SARS believes that you are trading cryptocurrency in a way to generate some income, whether it be your primary or secondary or additional income. Typically that's coming from people that are trading very, very often, people that may not actually have another job, they just trade cryptocurrency the full time. And the other side of that, there's the capital gains. If you buy cryptocurrency, it goes up, you sell it, you have realized a gain there, potentially, if the price has gone up, you do need to pay taxes on that. But you can also claim your losses. So everyone should be declaring the crypto assets. SARS do ask for it when you are filing your returns. They do ask you to declare your crypto assets. So you should, and there is a responsibility there. There are also a lot of resources and organizations that are really experts on the side that you can reach out to support you on that. But I think it's something that's really important because we've heard so many stories of people getting burnt because they weren't conscious of the tax side of things. And us as Luno, if SARS compels us through court orders and things, we do have to comply with them as any business in South Africa would. So it's really important that I think people are transparent with what is going on and understand the certain aspects that create taxable events and generate taxable liability. And that potentially will change in the future as regulations change and as certain cryptocurrencies maybe start. At the moment, all cryptocurrencies are kind of viewed as the same thing. There's a potential world where maybe stable coins get treated differently and other altcoins get treated differently and Bitcoin gets treated differently, and that will likely have tax impacts. And as we start building out, as the Reserve Bank starts also building out their controls, there will also be changes when it comes to exchange control. Something that's very popular at the moment, was very, very popular as for individuals a couple of years ago, is leveraging your foreign allowance and things like that. So you always do really need to be mindful of your obligations as a taxpayer and being upfront with SARS with the position you're in.
Great stuff. That was Tarris Arnold, Business Development Manager at Luno. Tarris, it was awesome talking to you. I had lots of questions which you managed to, answer most of them. But I believe we can go on and on and on and on. We can spend the whole day talking about crypto.
Just tell me when.
Yes. So I really appreciate you taking time and visiting us at our studio. It was a pleasure talking to you. For these and more stories, visit our ITWeb TV channel and subscribe. Thank you. This episode of ITWeb TV is brought to you in association with ITWeb Security Summit, the must-attend gathering of IT, security, and business decision makers. Visit itweb.co.za for more information.